So what if the next great scientific breakthrough wasn't made by a human, but by an AI? Today, we're going to dive into this incredible new paper that explores that exact question. And honestly, it could change the future of science as we know it.
I mean, think about it. Can an AI actually run a science lab? And I don't just mean as a fancy calculator or a tool. I mean as the lead researcher, the one making the tough calls, forming strategies, and, producing real world-changing results. It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, right? Well, a new experiment just put that very idea to the test.
So first off, why is this even a question we need to be asking? Well, it all comes down to what the source material here calls science's big team problem. The truth is, the days of the lone genius having a eureka moment in a lab are pretty much over. Today's biggest breakthroughs demand massive interdisciplinary teams. I mean, just think about AlphaFold. The paper that introduced it had 34 different researchers on it. You got computer scientists, biologists, machine learning experts, all needing to come together. Assembling a team like that isn't just hard, it is unbelievably expensive. And that creates this huge barrier for smaller labs or institutions that don't have that kind of funding.
Okay, so what if you could assemble a world-class research team in an instant, for just a fraction of the cost? Well, that's the whole idea behind creating an AI research team.
And this is their solution. They call it the virtual lab. Just imagine a setup where a single human researcher acts as the director, right? They guide a whole team of specialized AI agents. And that AI team, they do all the heavy lifting, the complex math, the coding, the deep analysis, while the human just steers the ship, setting the overall direction.
This diagram just lays out the whole structure beautifully. If you follow the arrows, you've got the human user at the very top. They're guiding this central principal investigator or PI agent. That AI PI then puts together and leads its own team of specialists. You can see an immunologist and a machine learning expert right here. And to make sure the work is solid, there's a scientific critic agent that's constantly reviewing what everyone does. It's basically a fully autonomous digital dream team.
So how does this AI team actually, collaborate? Well, it's in two main ways, just like a human team would. First, they hold team meetings, where all the different agents get together to hash out the big picture strategy. Then they break off for individual meetings. That's where a single agent does a deep dive on a specific task, like writing a piece of code, all while getting constant feedback from that critic agent.
Now, to really put this whole idea to the test, the researchers gave the virtual lab a serious, real-world mission to design a brand new COVID binder.
The specific goal here was to design new nanobodies. You can think of these as smaller, simpler, and way more robust versions of the antibodies that our bodies naturally produce. The mission was to engineer these nanobodies to neutralize the latest, most rapidly evolving variants of SARS-CoV-2. And that is a massive challenge for human scientists, let alone in AI.
And this is where we see the AI making its first really big strategic decisions. It decided to focus on nanobodies because they're so stable. It figured it could save a ton of time and resources by modifying existing proven nanobodies instead of trying to design new ones from scratch. And it even picked 4 specific candidates to start working with. This is the key takeaway, right? It wasn't just crunching numbers, it was showing real scientific strategy.
Okay, so the strategy's in place. How did the virtual lab actually put that plan into action? Let's take a look.
The AI laid out this incredibly clear 5-phase plan. It went all the way from selecting its own team and tools to designing the final, super detailed workflow for the whole experiment. This is a complete research plan, totally generated by the agents themselves.
Now, at the very heart of this plan was this really elegant computational loop. Here's how it worked. First, a language model called ESM would suggest possible mutations. Then, the famous protein-folding AI, AlphaFold, would predict the 3D structure of that new nanobody. And finally, a simulation tool called Rosetta would calculate how strongly it would actually bind to the virus. Suggest, predict, calculate. It's this powerful, iterative cycle of design and testing, all done inside the computer.
But wait, with 3 different scores, how do you pick the absolute best design? Well, this is where the AI principal investigator got really creative. It came up with its own unique solution, a weighted score. It literally created a brand new formula to combine the outputs from all 3 of those tools into a single decisive number to rank every single design. This isn't just following instructions. This is some next-level scientific problem solving.
Okay, so the AI has done all the simulations, it's written all the code, but does any of this actually work in the real world? This is where things get interesting. Let's look at the lab results. After running its whole computational workflow, the virtual lab produced 92 entirely new nanobody designs.
That's a huge number of candidates. But the big question is still hanging in the air. Are they just theoretical, or do they actually work?
And this is the moment of truth. The researchers took the AI's 92 digital blueprints and physically synthesized them in a real-world lab. Then, they tested whether these new AI-designed nanobodies could actually bind to the spike proteins from the latest, most dangerous COVID variants.
And the results were a stunning success. Just look at this. On the right, you see the original nanobody, and it shows almost no binding to the new JN.1 variant. But on the left, that's the AI-designed version showing incredibly strong binding. It actually worked!
And the discoveries were really significant. Over 90% of the AI's designs were stable and well-formed. One of its modified nanobodies not only improved binding to the JN.1 variant, but it gained an entirely new ability to bind to another variant, KP.3. Another design gained binding where the original had absolutely none at all. I mean, this is a real, impactful scientific discovery.
So what does this all mean? This isn't just about one experiment. This signals a fundamental shift in how we do science. It's the beginning of what the researchers are calling the new AI partnership.
This quote from the paper just perfectly captures this paradigm shift. The virtual lab represents a shift from AI as a tool to AI as a partner for science research. To put that another way, the AI is no longer just the microscope. It's becoming the scientist that's looking through it.
And this chart just brilliantly illustrates how much of a partner it was. In the entire process of designing this experiment, the strategy, the code, the analysis, the AI agents wrote over 98% of the words. The human researcher, they provided just over 1% of the input, acting as that high-level guide. It's just incredible.
And that leaves us with a truly profound question. Now that AI has graduated from being a simple tool to a true research partner, what's next? Curing cancer? Solving climate change? What monumental problem should humanity and its new partner decide to solve together?